What's going on, Packers Nation? Welcome back to another video of Packers Latest. I'm your host, Taylor Bretl, keeping you up to date on the latest news of the green and gold Green Bay Packers. A happy Wednesday to all of you out there watching. The Packers still riding high off that victory over the Chicago Bears, but there's a lot to look forward to with the Packers facing arguably the best team in the NFL, the Denver Broncos, this coming Sunday. If you're new to the channel, I welcome you. If you're a returner, I welcome you back as well. Feel free to subscribe, leave a like, turn on a notification bell, do anything as you please. Want to keep building that community here among the fans of the green and gold Green Bay Packers. Like I said, it's Broncos week. There's a lot to look at. This is a Broncos-filled episode because, they're in the AFC. Maybe you haven't watched much on them. Maybe you're just seeing how they hold the best record in the NFL at 11-2, but you don't really know much into the deep dive of the numbers. So we're going to start off with this game being in Denver, looking at the Packers playing on the road against the Broncos, and man, it is not a pretty record. The last time the Packers even won in Denver was 2007, which was one of the best Packers regular season moments, I should say. It was Favre to Jennings in the first play of overtime to win that one 16-13 or 19-13, I believe. My apologies. So looking at this, it's tough. Like, just getting into some of the numbers, I know it's 2025, totally new team on each side, but there's just something about when Green Bay goes to Denver that they struggle. You look at the Broncos, they lead the Packers in the all-time series in general 8-7-1 is the record that they hold, so pretty close. But 9 of those games have come in Denver. The Packers just 1-8 in those games played in Denver. You look at it on the other end, Packers are very, very good at home against the Broncos, clearly, but that's not where they play them this Sunday. It's going to be a tough one. I mean, Denver, that is, your mile high is what they call it. It's sometimes the oxygen's thinner, and maybe for kickers it's more of an advantage, so maybe this will be a game for Brandon McManus to really step up. Who knows? But there's definitely a lot of factors that go into playing against the Denver Broncos in Denver, Colorado. One of those big factors is this Broncos defense, and are they going to make it easy on the Packers? And my answer is going to be no. The Broncos hold one of the best defenses in the NFL, so let's dive into some of those numbers. They allow just 282 yards per game, which is the third best in the NFL, and 18.1 points per game allowed is the fourth best in the NFL. This Broncos defense is scary. It's a big reason why they hold an 11-2 record. We're going to get into a little bit later kind of how many close games Denver has won. Don't get me wrong. You got to credit them for winning the games that they do, as they are 11-2. But a lot of these coming by just a couple of points, and a big reason is because the defense has been able to strap the offense down. You look at this from a takeaways point of view, though, the Broncos have just 10 takeaways, which is not that much. I don't have a ranking where it is within the entire NFL, but it might be like 28th, I believe. Maybe they're tied with a couple with 10. But you look at the top, you got teams like the Chicago Bears, who facing them last week, that was a big concern, how many takeaways that they were going to get. They ended up only just getting that one against Jordan Love, and then the Packers played clean the rest of the game from there. But the Broncos, a very good defense, not many takeaways. They really play to knock the ball out of your hands, to stuff you, things like that, but not a big turnover team. It's going to be interesting to see how the Packers attack that. Maybe they let it fly even more than they have been, like we saw against Chicago, Jordan Love with those 3 touchdowns. But maybe they try to get it going on the ground. Not really sure how they'll attack it, but we'll definitely get into that more later in the week, especially seeing who's going to be healthy for Green Bay, who's going to be healthy for Denver, where are the strong spots, where are the weak spots. We're going to move on, though, to Bo Nix, the Broncos quarterback. He's in his sophomore season, and a very good sophomore season for Denver. But what has Nix done for this team? Going into some of the numbers on the season, Bo Nix, a 63.2 completion percentage. He has 2,954 yards. That's 11th in the NFL. 19 touchdowns, which is tied for 12th. 9 interceptions, and his QBR of 55.8 is just 17th. So not too strong of numbers, but he's doing what they need him to do to win, so you can't really discredit anything that Bo Nix is doing. And sometimes a lot of quarterbacks have a sophomore slump, as they call it. I think Bo Nix is playing pretty in line to where he was his rookie season, which impressed a lot of people. That's an NFL quarterback draft class where a lot of guys were taken early. Maybe some felt like reaches, Bo Nix possibly being one of those, but it seems like the draft pick out of Oregon has been the right choice. You look at the last 5 games, though, right? You need to look at recent trends. Green Bay's on a 4-game winning streak, so they're trending upward. You look at Denver, they hold a 10-game winning streak, but you got to look at what Bo Nix has done over these last 5 games. Not really the prettiest of football. Maybe the Packers will be able to attack that. His last 5 games, Bo Nix averaging 230.2 yards per game, so he's still slinging it, still getting a lot in the air. 63.8 completion percentage, but just 4 touchdowns in those 5 games to 4 interceptions. That 1-to-1 ratio, something I think Jeff Hafley and the Packers defense need to pay attention to. They got an interception against Caleb Williams on Sunday, and that was the game winner as Keyshawn Nixon intercepted it in the end zone on 4th and 1. Maybe this Packers defense can snag one more here against Denver, even though they do have those struggles playing in Mile High. But, you look at Bo Nix, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. You can't discredit him for that. But sometimes he has some games where it looks a little rough, and sometimes he has some games where he looks like the best quarterback in that class. I think it's a little bit of inconsistency, but he's just in his 2nd season in the NFL. You're going to get that with some younger quarterbacks. But the Packers and Jeff Hafley will have to learn how to attack that. So the overall question with this is, are they legit? Like, is this Broncos team truly legit? You see 11-2. I'm not going to discredit that. But, man, they win a lot of nail-biters, a lot of close games that they scrape by. But they're winning them, and that's the important thing. I mean, you look at a team like the Chiefs last season. I believe they were 12-0 in one-score games, and a lot of people want to put them on fraud watch a little bit, but that got them all the way to the Super Bowl. I know that ended up in a blowout loss in the Super Bowl to the Eagles, but these close wins kept inching them closer and closer to a Lombardi trophy where they were just 1 game away. So are the Broncos in that kind of a category, or are they in a different one? Well, looking at this, the Broncos currently hold a 10-game winning streak. Looking at the common opponents, this is what I kind of wanted to go into if you're trying to compare how legit they are to maybe who Green Bay's played. Broncos being the AFC, not going to have as many common opponents as Green Bay. They've played 5 common opponents. The Broncos 5-0 against them. The Packers 3-1-1. Those common opponents being the Cincinnati Bengals, Philadelphia Eagles, New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys, and Washington Commanders. And when we go into those numbers even more, when we talk about the close games that they've won, the Broncos have won 9 of their 11 games by 8 points or less, and 6 of those 11 games by 3 or less. So, these are really close games. But hey, the last time the Packers played the Broncos in Mile High, I believe the Broncos came away with a win 19-17. I could be mistaken on that score to be exact, but I'm pretty sure it was another close game, and the Broncos were able to hold true. Obviously, that's 2 years ago. Now you have Bo Nix. You have a totally different team, but there's some similar returners like Pat Surtain, one of the best defenders in the NFL, Cortland Sutton, their wide receiver 1 on the other side. So there's a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences to look at. Jordan Love is going to look like a bounce-back game for him because he was on that 2023 team that took that loss in Denver, and they're going to try to maybe expose and see how legit Denver really is. I'm pretty confident about the Packers in this one, but we're definitely going to have to get into it a lot more as the week goes on. Again, see who's playing, see who's not. I think this could be a lower scoring game. Jordan Love is on a heater, don't get me wrong, but this Denver Broncos defense is pretty tough, and you're going on the road. So it's a lot to prove for him and a lot for Denver to hold down at home. You look on the other side, the Packers defense has been playing very well as well. Did give up 21 points to Chicago, but locked it down when it mattered most. And this Broncos offense, rather okay. They have flashes of some strong games, but then they'll beat the Raiders by 1 touchdown like they recently did. And the week before that, they were 1 2-point conversion away from losing to the Washington Commanders, who have not been that great this season. And that's a game where Marcus Mariota was in at quarterback. So I think there's a lot of question marks and a lot of gaps that need to be answered, that need to be filled for both of these teams. Definitely more to talk about later in the week, though. But that's all I got for this episode of Packers Latest. Once more, the Green Bay Packers taking on the Denver Broncos on Sunday. I believe that is a 3:25 p.m. Central Time kickoff. Games should be on CBS, with the Broncos being an AFC opponent. It should be a fun one, but there's going to be so much more to dive into. Can the Packers break that streak trying to get a win at Mile High? Let's hope that they turn the tides from there. But once again, that's all I got for this episode. And as always, go Pack, go.